Hello students, I am Dr. Nimi Singh. Today I bring you the first learning episode on a very important unit of paper, digital forensics, that is the fundamentals and the concepts, and part 1 for this. In this lecture, we will be studying about the fundamentals of computer hardware along with the knowledge of computer accessories. We will also acquaint ourselves with the development of hard disk and the physical construction of a hard disk. And finally, we will wind up this module by studying CHS and LBA addressing. Now, dear students, computer, is there anyone who didn't listen about this? Even is there anyone who didn't see this? As I, per my concern in this world, each and every person either has seen or at least listened the name of computer. Computer has changed the human life. Almost all people are using either the computer system or allied technologies like laptop, mobiles, smart devices, etc. Each and every function either executed or controlled through computer and allied technologies. With the help of this chapter, we could actually answer all those kinds of questions which maybe arise in mind, like what, who, when, where, why, how, and many more related to computer. So, let us have a look at the modules we are going to learn today. We will first learn the fundamentals of computer hardware, and then computer accessories, development of hard disk, physical construction of a hard disk, CHS and LBA addressing, and then we will conclude. Let us now come to the first module, that is the fundamentals of computer hardware. What is a computer? A computer is nothing but a programmable electromechanical device which accepts input data and information, performs specific mathematical and logical operations with very high speed in efficient and accurate way, and then displays the results of these on the output devices. Father of computer electronic data processing has been in existence merely from the early 1940s. People had started following a set of procedures to perform calculations with stones, which later led to creation of a digital counting device, which was the predecessor of the first calculating device invented, known as the abacus. The abacus, which comprised a wooden frame with rods and round beads and was developed by the Egyptians in the 10th century BC, was the first known calculating device used to perform addition and subtraction easily. Then came the Napier's bones, which consisted of printed bone rods and could do addition, subtraction, multiplication and division easily, and was developed by John Napier in 1617. Blaise Pascal in the year 1642 invented an adding machine called Pascal's calculator, which could represent the position of a digit with the help of gears in it. German mathematician Gottfried Leibniz modified Pascal's calculator, called later Leibniz calculator, and developed a machine that could perform various calculations involving multiplication and division. English scientist Charles Babbage, popularly known as the father of the computer, invented the analytical engine in 1833, which was deemed to be the first mechanical computer. It even included features found in today's computer languages. Generations of computer, which are based on the memory device and processors used in the computer, are actually used to distinguish between varying hardware technologies. There are in total 5 generations of the computer, which are listed in detail below in the table. Let us now come to the table of generations of computer. Let us now come to the table of generations of computer. Now, the first generation was between 1942 to 1955, and the memory devices were simply the vacuum tubes. The features were, these were the electronic circuits, that is a vacuum tube. Primary storage was there with magnetic drum. Then for memory we had mercury delay lined. Secondary storage was with the help of punch cards. Programming, machine level and processing speed was just milliseconds. Then came in the second generation between 1955 and 1964 with a memory device as a transistor. With the features, the internal storage was the magnetic core, the secondary storage was by magnetic tapes, the I/O devices were a little bit faster, programming was high level language, processing speed was now microseconds. Then came in the third generation between 1964 and 75. The storage or the memory devices were nothing but the integrated circuits, which we call as ICs nowadays. The primary storage was done with the help of semiconductor, secondary storage, magnetic disk, high level language was of massive use, and processing speed was now nanoseconds. Then came in the fourth generation between 1975 and 1990. The memory devices were the microprocessor or VLSI. Now, use of magnetic and optical storage devices was there with ranging capacity of more than 100 GB. High level language and software advancement could be seen. Fourth generation language was used. Operation speed was beyond in picoseconds and millions of instructions per second. Then came in the fifth generation, which is now 1990 onwards, and the memory devices are biochips with the features. Now, the knowledge based and intelligent computer through AI, prologue language and very high speed. Let us now come to the components of a computer. Let us start with input devices. Input device is such kind of medium through which anyone can input any data. Instruction of information to the computer is given. Here is the description of various kinds of input devices used in the computer. The first one is the keyboard. A keyboard consists of standard keys to give an input command to the computer. It can be used to write documents or to navigate a mouse. It is a standard input device. Below is a closer up image of a computer keyboard. Then comes a mouse. A mouse is a device which contains buttons and helps the users to select objects, move windows and open various applications. Then comes the trackball. This is just like a standard mouse in which the rolls of a ball inside a base of device on contrast, moving the device across the tabletop as we do with the mouse. Touchscreen monitor. These are used to display the computer output on screen and allows the user to manipulate and communicate with it just by touching with the fingers onto the screen. Then is a scanner. Scanner is a special kind of input device which works just like on principle of photocopy machine. The scanner is used where the information is available on the paper and user wants to transfer this into the computer in the form of an image or text for further manipulation. Then you have is the touchpad. A touchpad is typically found on laptop computers. It works on the principle of a mouse and trackball. It has also a flat panel where we can move our fingers across. There is a graphic tablet. A graphic tablet is used just like a paper and a pencil. They have a stylus which looks like a plastic pencil by which we can draw on a flat panel. Then is a joystick. Joystick is a type of a pointing device by which we can move cursor positions on the monitor screen easily. It is basically a special type of stick having a spherical ball at its both lower and upper ends which can be moved in all the four directions. Then is a light pen. Light pen is also a kind of pointing device, again similar to a pen, which is used to select an item or draw pictures on the output screen. Then is a digitizer. A digitizer is a special input device which converts information from analog to digital. It can convert a digital signal from the television or camera into a series of digits which could be further stored into the computer. Now comes the output devices. Output devices are hardware that translates information initially processed by the computer into human understandable form. Following are the important output devices. Monitors. Now, monitors, also called the visual display unit, are such kind of output devices which produce images coalescing tiny dots, also called pixels, upon which the brightness for the screen depends. There are two types of monitors: cathode ray tube. The CRT comprises of pixels, which are the small and basic picture elements. The size of a pixel is inversely proportional to the image clarity or resolution, and in order to form the whole character, more than one pixel is needed. Then you have flat panel display. In contrast to CRT, flat panel displays have less weight, power and volume requirements. Flat panel displays find its applications in video games, calculators, laptops, graphic displays. Then comes the printers. A printer whose resolution measurement unit is dots per inch DPI, that is what we call, creates a hard copy of electronic documents on print media such as paper. Inkjet printers and laser printers are two major types of printers. Some other types of printers have also been explained. Then let us now first come to inkjet printer. Inkjet printers, which are famous among customers due to its economic cost, high output quality, the capability of printing multiple colors and easy use, operates by just shooting tiny droplets of liquid ink onto the paper. Then is the laser printer. Laser printer, being available in both color and black and white variety, works on zero graphic printing. Then is the dot matrix printer. In dot matrix printer, each character printed follows a dot pattern, and the right head consists of a matrices of pins of size 5 by 7, 7 by 9, 9 by 7 or 9 by 9, which ultimately forms a character. They are very popular because they are inexpensive and can be used daily. Then is the daisy wheel printer. In offices, good quality letters to be printed through word processing, this is used. In that case, the daisy wheel printers can be used. It is known as daisy wheel printer because it is having a number of heads on a wheel, and the pins used for printing the specific characters looks like the petals of a flower called daisy flower. Line printer. Line printers are such kind of printers which can print a complete one line at a time. The line printers are of two types: drum printer and chain printer. Now coming to the third output device, that is the speakers. Speaker is the one of the most important and well-known output devices which receives its input in the form of audio from a computer or through an audio receiver, and which can be in the form of either analog signal or digital signal. Loudspeaker, an electromechanical transducer, converts an electric signal into sound energy. Then you have plotter. Plotters are the special purpose output devices which are used for printing big photographs, graphics and more. It holds a pen for generating the hard copy of the output and is mostly used to print various designs of ships, buildings and many more. Then you have is the projector. A projector is an optical output device which is used for projection of an image onto a projector screen. Most of the projectors use the transparent lens. Nowadays, new projectors use lasers to projection of image. Now comes the central processing unit. We call it as CPU. CPU, also called as the heart of a computer, carries out the instructions of a program. Each and every instruction will have to go through the CPU. It is the main logic circuitry which responds and processes the data, information and instructions. It performs the arithmetical, logical, input-output and all other operations for a computer system. CPU has got three major components. One is the memory unit. Memory unit is in the form of registers or a cache memory for storing data, information and instructions during the processing within CPU. Then you have is the control unit. Control unit is mainly responsible for controlling all kinds of operations like input, process and output. This unit cares about step-by-step processing of all those operations. Then you have is the arithmetic logic unit. Based upon the instructions given, all kinds of calculations and comparisons are performed within the ALU. It performs the basic arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, relational operations like greater than, less than and equal to, and logical operations and, or, and, not, etc. Now comes the storage devices. Storage devices are those which are used for storing, reading and writing data and information for a computer. The storage devices are classified in the following major categories depending upon their use. The first one is the primary storage. When a program is in the execution state, the primary storage is used to store the information. It is used for storing pre, intermediate and resultant information. It is very fast but has low capacity and is expensive. It could be further divided into volatile and non-volatile, that is the one which loses and the one which keeps the data, respectively on power dissipation. The two main storages are as follows. The ROM, that is the read-only memory. It is a non-volatile memory which contains the instructions and holds initial program called bootstrap loader routine, which helps to start the computer system ready for any operation when the power is turned on. Then you have the famous RAM, that is the random access memory. It is the volatile memory. This is the main area where the operating system, programs, applications and the information in current use are put temporarily, which can be accessed through the CPU to processing. It is further divided into SRAM, also called cache, and DRAM. Then comes the secondary storage. Secondary storage, it is used to hold stored program instructions for the further, or we can say future use. It is low but high capacity and inexpensive with respect to the primary storage. It retains data even without power, as it is totally non-volatile in nature. The main secondary storages have been discussed here. The first one is the hard disk drive. Hard disks are made with hard material and sealed with a box. The hard disk and its execution unit called the hard disk drive exist together as a single unit and is a permanent storage for the computer at which the data and programs can be saved. The storage capacity of the hard disk varies from 1 GB to almost 80 GBs. Now, compact disk, that is a CD, is having mediatory data storage capacity in between 650 to 700 MBs, and some newer CD may store information in GBs. It can hold large enough information such as audios, videos and text. CDs can be available in all types, that is readable, writable and rewritable. Then you have is the USB flash drive. Typically removable and rewritable drives called USB flash drives are physically much smaller than a CD or a hard disk. Their storage capacities varies from MBs to GBs. Then is the floppy disk. A floppy disk is made of a thin soft disk and its storage medium coated magnetically, sealed in a square shaped plastic. On floppy disk, data and information are read and written through a floppy disk drive. Nowadays, these are obsolete as their capacities were very low, that is KBs to few MBs. Then you have is the tertiary storage. Tertiary storage is a third category of storage devices. These holds amount of information to be inserted and removed by mass storage media into a storage drive as per the need of a computer system. These devices can also store large amount of data for the long years. These data is often copied into a secondary storage before use. The main types of tertiary storage are the magnetic tape, digital recording. For storing the digital information in the magnetic tape is done on its tape itself. Modern magnetic tapes are usually loaded in cartridges and cassettes. The device which is responsible for performing reading and writing of data into magnetic tape is what we call as a tape drive. Then we have is the magnetic cartridge. A magnetic cartridge, also known as tape cartridge, refers to a device which holds a single magnetic tape span on two reels. It also comes in the form of a single reel of tape embedded in a plastic ring. Let us come to the second module, that is the computer accessories. Although we have started about the major components of the computer system, yet there are a large number of accessories which play a very important role in the proper use and execution of the computer system. Some of them are described below. The first one is the motherboard. The main circuitry board of a computer is called the motherboard. It could be also counted as one of the important components of a computer because without this a computer is incomplete. It consists of a central processing unit, basic input-output system, main memory, secondary storage interfaces, serial and parallel ports, expansion slots and all other interfaces and controllers for peripheral devices like the input, output, storage and others. Then you have is the UPS, that is the uninterrupted power supply. This is a source or backup of power which provides power to a computer system in an emergency when the power source or the mains power is switched off or it fails. And is the webcam. It is a kind of video camera which streams real life image. It is connected through a USB port or a light cable or built into the computer such as laptops. Then is the modem. A modem is responsible for enabling a computer system to send and or receive information over a telephone line across long distances. Then is the card reader. A memory card like a secure digital, a compact flash or multimedia card, etc. It's used for accessing the data on. Most card readers also offer write capability. Graphics card. Now, graphics card is a special type of display card or video card, that is the accelerator graphics port card which is installed within most computing devices for displaying graphical information with high quality, clarity, color definitions and in terms of overall appearances. Now comes to the third module, that is the development of hard disk. A hard disk drive is used for storing data and information. Basically, it is nothing but a type of non-volatile storage, that is, which stores data permanently. It uses magnetic storage for storing and retrieving information digitally with the help of a rotating disk called platters coated magnetically. The platters are arranged on a moving arm called spindle which is rotating in nature. The actuator arm, also called read-write heads, reads and writes data to the platter. The stored data in the HDD can be accessed randomly. Now, let us come to the history of hard disk, that is from 1950 to 1970s. In 1956, hard disk was introduced by IBM for storing data for real-time transaction processing. It had also been developed for mini computers and mainframe computers. The first IBM drive was 350 RAMAC. In 1961, Bryant Computer Products developed 4000 series disk drive. In 1962, IBM introduced 1311 drive to use removable data. It was capable to store 2 million characters. In 1973, IBM introduced the IBM 3340 drive, that is the Winchester. On the other, Control Data Corporation introduced the first storage module drive using disk pack technology. In 1980, the storage module drive became effective disk drive for mini computers. Now, Hewlett-Packard, that is HP, introduced HP 7935 drive. It was mini computer compatible and developed for industry purpose to higher storage. In 1990s, the first 3.5-inch Caviar IDE HDD by Western Digital was introduced. In 1991, IBM introduced IBM 0663 drive called Corsair. It was first HDD using magnetoresistive heads. In 1993, IBM introduced IBM 3390 model 9 disk drive. It was last single large expensive drive. In 1999, IBM introduced micro drive in 170 MB and 340 MB capacity. Since 2000 onwards now, in 2000, Seagate developed Cheetah X15 HDD. This produces 15,000 RPM. In 2003, IBM sells disk drive division to Hitachi. In 2003, Western Digital introduced first 10,000 RPM SATA hard disk drive. This was specially designed for enterprises. In 2004, Toshiba introduced MK2001 MTN hard drive, the first 0.85-inch HDD and with storage capacity of 2 GB on a single platter. In 2005, Toshiba introduced MK4007 GAL hard drive, which was capable to store 40 GB on one 1.8-inch platter. In 2006, Seagate introduced first 750 GB Barracuda 7200.10 hard drive. In 2007, Hitachi introduced first 1 TB drive. In 2008, Seagate introduced first 1.5 TB hard drive. In 2009, Western Digital introduced first 2 TB hard drive. 2010, the first 3 TB hard drive introduced by Western Digital and Seagate. In 2011, first 4 TB hard drive was introduced by Seagate. In 2013, HGST announces a helium-filled hard drive capacity up to 6 TB for enterprise application. In 2014, Seagate introduces first 8 TB hard drive. In 2015, HGST introduced Ultrastar Archive HASMR hard drive. This was the world's first 10 TB capacity hard drive. That is, basically TB means the terabytes. Let us now come to the table which describes the HDD characteristics. Let us come to the table that describes HDD characteristics and what have been the improvements over time. Now, characteristics. The first characteristic, let us see the capacity. Beginning of 1957, it was just 3.75 MB. Up to 2017, it is now 12 terabytes. The volume, earlier it was 68 cubic feet, now 2.1 cubic inches. The weight, earlier it was 2000 pounds, now it is just 2.2 ounces. The average access time was approximately 600 milliseconds, which is now 2.5 milliseconds to 10 milliseconds, which is actually RAM dependent. The price during the beginning of 1956 was $9,000 US per MB. Now it is $0.032 per GB. The density was per square inch, that is 2000 bits. Now it is per square inch 1.3 terabytes. Average life was 2000 hours MTBF. Now it is 22,500 hours MTBF. PF. Let us come to the fourth module, that is the physical construction of a hard disk. Hard disk drive, as the name itself tells, that it is a hard component which would be made of definitely hard materials. Definitely, all components of a hard disk are made of hard materials only. The major physical components of a hard drive have been described here. The first one is the platters. A circular metal disc which is mounted inside a hard disk is called a platter. Several numbers of platters are mounted so that more and more data can be stored in smaller area of the surface. Platter is usually made of aluminum core. The three-layer media, the substrate material, the surface of the hard disk is coated with substrate material which makes up the base on which the media layer is deposited. This material does not have any specific function apart from only supporting to media layer. Aluminium alloy as the most common material is used for making this physical layer. Then comes the media layer, a thin coating of magnetic material which is applied on the surface where the actual data is stored is called the media layer. The thickness is of only 1 by 1,000,000 inch. Then comes the protective layer. The upper part of the magnetic media layer is coated with a protective and lubricating super thin layer called the protective layer. This layer actually protects the disk from damage and accidental contact of the read or write heads called head crash. Then is the platter division. All platters are organized with a specific structure to maintain an organized way of storing and retrieving the data. The specific structure consists of a range of tracks, sectors and clusters. Now comes the tracks. Information on the hard disk is stored into the concentric circles called the tracks. Each track can store a very large amount of data, even thousands of bytes approximately. Then is the sectors. Further, tracks are divided into small pieces called sectors. This is called the basic unit of data storage in the disk. If we see, then we can analyze that track can have multiple sectors and each sector can hold more than 512 bytes, sometimes 4096 or more bytes. Then is the clusters. Clusters, also called chunks, are the logical units formed with a grouping of the sectors. Read or write heads. The read or write heads are communication points between electronic components of the computer and the magnetic media in which the hard disk through which the data is written, read and erased. The spindle motor. For many hours, to use the hard disk, a spindle motor provides a reliable, stable, consistent power to the platters for continuous use. Most of the time, the hard drive are failed due to spindle motor. Then is the drive bay. The hard disk is mounted in an enclosure called drive bay, which is specially designed to protect. It is very important to make internal environment of the hard disk free from air, dust or any other contaminants. Then comes the last module, that is the CHS and LBA addressing, that is the cylinder head sector. It is a special addressing method important for partitioning of mass storage volume, that is the hard disk, along with a logical block addressing method. Though now CHS does not maintain a physical relationship with the characteristics, still it is useful in many ways. The CHS addresses of the first sector of a hard disk is 0 by 0 by 1. The storage capacity of each sector is of 500 bytes. Since 2012, the storage capacity of a sector of a hard disk is increased to 4096 bytes or more. Now, logical block addressing, first introduced by small computer system interface, was there as an abstraction. It describes the location of data in terms of blocks which is stored in computer storage. LBA is a scheme in which blocks are located by integer index like LBA0, LBA1, LBA2 and so on. The earlier schemes like CHS scheme have now replaced with LBA. The CHS type is unable to manage disk capacity. That is why we need a LBA addressing type, which is much more convenient. For the large addressing within the hard disk, the numbers of cylinders are divided by an integer. Number of heads multiplies that integer and then the logical CHS parameters to address. So, this stands for the purpose of the logical location. LBA defines the addresses in terms of units of sectors instead of CHS. Hence, for describing the compatibilities, LBA can be expressed in terms of CHS parameters with the help of an algorithm called logical conversion. Now, logical conversion of CHS into LBA. CHS can be converted in LBA using the following formula. LBA is equal to C into HPC plus H into SPT plus S minus 1, where LBA is nothing but logical block address, C, H, S are respectively the cylinder, head and sector numbers, HPC is heads per cylinder, SPT is sectors per track. Let us now conclude our lecture with the following words. Today, the world is of computer and its allied technologies. The statement itself proves that each and every task in the world is either executed or controlled through computer and allied technologies. We can find a computer at almost all places. Through the chapter, we can find the detailed knowledge of fundamentals and various concepts related to a computer system. The details of all the concepts like basics, history, generations and components like CPU, input, output, storage, etc. have been explained within a systematic scenario. After reading these, it looks like that really we can understand the computer system in a very easy and efficient way. Computer accessories are also important in the fast and efficient execution of a computer. The detailed knowledge about the hard disk help us in understanding the importance that how it can store data in GBs and even TBs. Definitely the chapter is helpful in easy understanding of a computer system. With all these information here, we come to the end of today's lecture. To keep in mind what we have discussed today. I will be back with one more lecture in this series. If you want to learn more and enhance your knowledge, you may log on to our website www.cec.nic.in for MCQs, quizzes, LORs, etc. Thank you for your time today. I will see you in the next lecture. Have a great day.